Hi and welcome to the ZENworks mobile management how-to videos. In this video, we're going to look at how to create the Apple push notification certificate so that you can do all of the things that require an Apple push notification. So let's take a look. First of all, why do you need APN? APN is a means to notify the device that something needs to be done by an application on the device when an application isn't running. So as most of you will realize, iOS is not a multitasking operating system. Therefore, when you leave most applications, that application ceases to function. However, mobile device management actually plugs into the APN so that if new policies need to be applied or new settings need to be distributed to the device, then it can notify the APN server. The APN server then notifies the device, and that then signals the application to check in with your mobile management server and apply the changes. ZENworks Mobile Management uses APNs for enhanced iOS device statistics. So this is things like what applications are installed on the machine, how about the phone number or the MAC address of the device, so on and so forth. It's also used for any of the remote type operations you want to do. So for instance, remote wipe, remote lock, or a remote password clear or passcode clear. So let's go ahead and take a look at how you do this. The first step that we're going to do here is we're going to have to create a certificate signing request. This is a standard X509 certificate signing request. We're going to upload that CSR to the Novell APN Mobile Device Management Signing Request portal, that URL you see there. Once I upload that, the certificate is going to get signed by Novell's Intermediate Certificate Authority. Then you're going to upload that signed request to Apple. Apple will then sign it. You'll then have a complete certificate. You can finish the certificate signing process, and then you can export that key. Once you've got that, you can then insert that by going into the dashboard for ZENworks Mobile Management, select the System tab, upload the exported APN certificate, and at that point, on the next refresh, all the devices will know about the APN. So let's go ahead and take a look then at how this looks in the process. So what we have here is our ZENworks Mobile Management server, and I'm opened up the Internet Information Services Manager page. And we're going to go into the Server Certificates properties, and you'll see here I have the SSL certificate that this server is using to communicate. What I want to do is create that X509 request, so I'll come in and I'll say create a certificate request, and in the common name I'll enter my iTunes ID. So typically what you want to do is you want to create a new iTunes ID for your company so that you can be assured that as someone leaves the company, your certificate's not going to go with them. So we'll go ahead and fill in the rest with whatever information we want to put in here, and then we'll click Next. Now what this does is then asks you what key length you want for the APNS certificate. You want 2048. And then you want a place where you can save this, so we'll just save this as zmmapn.txt off the root of C. So we now have our certificate signing request. Now we're going to go to the ZENworks Mobile Management certificate signing page, and we're going to upload that request to Novell. So we'll go find the CSR that we just created. We'll upload the ZMM. We'll say get a signed request, and it'll take just a minute as the portlet signs that, and you'll see you get this new zenworks.request file. We can save this, and we can open up that folder, and you'll see we got this new ZENworks server request. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the APN certificate portal. We're going to log in with our Apple ID that we used when we created the signing request. And here we'll have the ability to then say we want to create a new certificate. So it'll take just a minute. Apple's portal can sometimes be somewhat slow. Okay, so you'll see we have the list of certificates that you may have previously acquired. We'll go ahead and say we want to create a certificate. We'll accept the license agreement. And then once we have that, we can then upload that signed request that we got back from Novell up to the server. So we'll go ahead and pick this request, say open, and then we'll click upload. That uploads the certificate, and then they sign it. Now you'll notice For some reason in Internet Explorer, you'll get this file coming down. This is actually the HTTP return code. You can just hit cancel here and then cancel out of the push notification request, and you'll see you now have the second certificate there. So now go ahead and download that certificate, and that will download a .pem file, this MDM Novell Inc. certificate.pem. That is the signed certificate. Now what you want to do is go back into IIS Manager and say complete the certificate request, and then select that PEM file that we just downloaded. So you'll see there's our MDM Novell Inc. cert. We can give it a name, say OK, and you'll see it's now showing up in here. Now what you want to do is export this to a file with the private key. This is because you're going to need to provide this to the ZMM application. So to do that, you just highlight it and you say export. And you give it a path where you want to export the APN to. So something like ZENAPN.pfx, because this is going to be a PFX12 file that includes both the private key and the public key. And then from there you want to go ahead and provide a password. The password goes ahead and provides security on that public key and private key. So it basically encrypts them. And then you'll need to be able to provide that password back to the ZMM application once you import this. So we'll say OK. That then exports it. The last step that we need to do is we need to go in and provide that exported certificate to the console. So to do that, we'll go to our ZMM server and go into the dashboard. So now we're going to want to log in as the system administrator to the console. And we can select the organization we want to do this for. In this case, I'll select the Novell organization. Click OK, and you'll see the first thing that comes up is the dashboard. At this point, I want to go to the system page, which will take me into the organizational settings for this particular organization. And you'll see the APN certificate. Now typically this will say upload if you haven't previously uploaded a certificate. So I can then say edit here or upload. And then if this is a new certificate, rather than getting the ability to change this, you'll just have the choose an APNS certificate file. So you would take and you would select the new one that you created. There's the ZenAPN file. Say open. You'd provide the password. And then as long as you've browsed to the dashboard the same way that your agents would, so you're using the same DNS or IP address that you want your agents to use, you'll also want to check this use default URLs. Once that's done, you'll see what happens is a URL to this PHP script gets sent. When an APN comes into this device, then it basically is telling the device check into this URL. And it will then check into the URL, the ZMM server will tell it what it needs it to do, and it will then do the wipe or the unlock or whatever needs to be done. When you hit submit, the certificate gets stored into the database in an encrypted form. You now have the APN certificate, which allows you to then push notifications to the devices. So now when you make changes to policies, you make changes to applications, and you want those changes to be immediately pushed out, or you want to wipe the device, you can now do that. So what you've seen here is the ability to create an APNS certificate, import it into the system, and then use that to go ahead and manage your devices. Thank you.